Do you exercise regularly?
Yeah, obviously, I exercise all the time. Look at this. See, we exercise all the time.
We exercise all the time.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Come on, this is not exercising.
Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. So in this video, we're going to talk about the difference between physically active and exercise. Yes guys, there is a difference. Physical activity is any type of movement that requires a little bit of energy expenditure, that probably requires a little bit of strength. For example, let us say I'm picking up something from the floor here. So that requires a certain amount of muscle contraction and energy expenditure. So that's what I call as a physically active, okay? So when I say exercise, I'm doing the same movement that requires an energy expenditure, probably a little bit more energy expenditure, but I'm going to maintain that for a certain amount of period. And that period could be anywhere between 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, or so on. So when we define the intensity, we use a sitting as an example. So let us say you're still spending a certain amount of energy while you're sitting, right? A physically active movement could be around like 2 to 3 times of the energy expenditure during sitting. So let us say, for example, I'm sweeping the floor here. So that's probably around like 1.5 to 2 times the energy expenditure that happens during sitting. So let us say I want to exercise. So I want to at least aim for more than 4 times the energy expenditure during sitting. So let us say, example, that I'm doing a skipping rope. So that's like, if I maintain this period for around like 5 to 10 minutes or so, that's an exercise. I'm probably expenditure around like maybe 4 to 5 times of my sitting time. So let us say I'm dancing, right? So I'm dancing. So this again, if I do this for a period of 5 to 10 minutes, that counts as an exercise. So we know from studies that being physically inactive is equally dangerous when compared to lacking regular physical exercise. So studies have shown that if you take a physically inactive person and you make them a physically active, so basically the good way to think about is like decrease their sitting time to less than 4 hours per day total, okay? So if you do that, the risk of all-cause mortality decreases by 20%. So what exactly is this all-cause mortality? So let us say, example, that you have, let's say you have a diabetes, okay? So the diabetes increased risk for heart disease, and the heart disease causes an heart attack, and then patient dies. So you know that if you're physically active, you could have prevented diabetes, which in turn could have prevented heart disease, which in turn could have prevented heart attack. So let us say you are weak by not being physically active, and then because you're weak, you fell down. Let us say this is a patient of like 65 years old, and let's say this patient was physically inactive, which means that her bone health was probably not in a good shape. So then she has a fracture, and that fracture relates to disability, and this disability relates to a clot in the lung that results in death. Again, this all stems to physically inactivity. You see how physical inactivity could be the basis of everything. And that's what we call as an all-cause mortality. Like mortality or death from all causes, just being physically active decreases the risk by 20%. If you meet the exercise recommendations, and we'll talk about the exercise recommendations in a separate video, but if you meet the exercise recommendations, your risk drops by 50%. So I'm going to take a classic example that I have observed 20 years ago. When I was growing up, let's say my grandmother or my mom, so let's say they wake up around like 6 o'clock in the morning, they get up in the morning, they clean their houses, they prepare food for their children, prepare food for their husband, and after that, they get their children ready, and then they're washing vessels, washing clothes, again, not with washing machine, but rather using the hand, and then they're drying the clothes, and then after that, they probably might have to walk for a few kilometers to fetch some water. So when they walk a few kilometers to fetch some water, that qualifies as an exercise because they are probably spending at least 4 to 5 times of energy that is compared to sitting. And then when they're bringing the heavy bucket of water, that again qualifies as exercise. So they probably would have got like 10 to 15 minutes of exercise right there. And then during the afternoon, they are again whatever they might walk to the school to provide food for their children, come back home, and then in the evening they might go for a walk. You see how much exercise they've accumulated, how much physically active they have been. So that's what I call it as being physically active and meeting the exercise recommendations. Here, I don't want to advise these people to buy a treadmill or go to the gym. They are accumulating exercise in there just by doing the activities of daily living. So what is happening right now? You get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, might drink a coffee and read a newspaper. You switch a button and then you prepare coffee. Then you go take a bath and then you sit in a car, travel for 30 to 45 minutes to commute, depending on the traffic. Most of the work that we have right now is all sedentary work, so you're just sitting in front of the computer for 8 to 10 hours a day. Come back home, probably you're very tired just because of too much of mental stress that happens at work. Then you want to relax, you might be watching TV, and then you might be thinking about exercising. If you do exercise, great, but if you don't exercise, then you're physically inactive and not exercising. Or let us say if you do exercise, then I still say you're physically inactive but exercise. But remember, as I said, they both are dangerous. You want to reverse both. You want to be physically active and you also want to meet the exercise recommendation. So what is the purpose of this video today then? The purpose of the video is to make you conscious of your sitting time. So now you know what can happen if you're being physically inactive, even if you exercise regularly. So now what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to take an unconscious habit of you sitting in front of the computer. I want you to understand that every time you sit in front of the computer and spend hours together sitting, you're putting a significant risk for future illness, and even that can result in adverse events which could include death. So what I want you to do now is I want you to become more conscious of your habits. So in the comments below, write down how many minutes you sit throughout the day and how much exercise do you do per day. So I'm going to use me as an example, and I'm going to say how much sitting time I accumulate throughout the day. So I get up around maybe 5 o'clock in the morning, and then from 5 o'clock until I sit in the car to commute to work, I'm not sitting at all. So from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, I'm doing some sort of activity that requires maybe 2 times of my energy expenditure compared during sitting. During the time, I might accumulate 10 to 15 minutes of an exercise in the morning. And after that, I sit in the car, commute to work. So that's a 30-minute commute. So back and forth is going to be a 1 hour sitting time. Then when I see patients, I probably might be sitting for 5 minutes when I see patients. So I see around 20 to 25 patients per day. So let us assume that I'm sitting for 2 hours total in my clinic. Rest of the time, I'm trying to be more physically active. I have a standing desk. I'm trying to stand and do my work. And then when I come back home, I don't sit and watch TV. I'm being active, cooking things, cleaning house, list goes on. So until I go to the bed, I'm being on my feet. So when I look at my sitting time, I'm probably sitting around less than 3 hours per day. Maybe exercise around 15 to 20 minutes per day. So now you tell me how much sitting time you do and how much exercise you do. In the next video, I'm going to talk about ways to reverse the physical inactivity and how to start exercising regularly. And even if you have a sedentary job that requires you to be sitting, don't worry, I have a solution for you too. I'll see you in my next video. Until then, goodbye.